Hey guys, in today's video we're going to be discussing some decent value bets against the spread in college basketball for February 15th, 2017. If you're interested in getting our daily free play, you can head on over to stumpthespread.com by clicking the logo in the top right hand corner of this video, and we'll also link Stump the Spread in the video description. Today's free pick at our main website is between the matchup in the Big Ten between Indiana and Minnesota. So if you're interested in checking that out, I recommend that. In this video, I got 5 games that I'm going to be touching on briefly, and if you're interested in what those games are, I will put those in the video description. And if you're interested in getting more of this content in the future, you can click that subscribe button. So the first game that I want to touch on is going to be over the A10 between Fordham and Rhode Island. Fordham not having the greatest year by any means, but still a team that's been pretty competitive in the A10, especially on the road. Fordham's, won on the road in conference against teams like UMass. They've also won at St. Joe's and among some other really solid results on the road. In their last road outing, Fordham was competitive, falling just short at George Mason. This is a squad that's arguably been better on the road than on their home court for whatever reason this year. A group that really relies a lot on the three-point shot, and that could help them here against a Rhode Island defense that really can be tough, down in the paint and in the interior. If Fordham's able to knock down a lot of their perimeter jumpers, they could keep things competitive in this one against the Rhode Island Rams, who come into this one. It started at 16-point favorites. Actually, really early on, it was even a little bit higher than that. It has shrunk down to 14 to 14.5 points, and a lot of this, I think, has to do with the fact that Fordham has actually been quite solid on the road in the A10 this year. Rhode Island really needed to come through in their last outing at home against Dayton, but unfortunately for the Rams, they were unable to do that as they went on to lose that one by 1 point. And coming off such a tough defeat, it'll be interesting to see where Rhode Island's at mentally coming into this matchup that they don't necessarily feel is all that important, given the fact that it's not going to be a resume building win. All Rhode Island can do in this one is hurt themselves. They really can't help themselves, even if they went on to win this one in blowout fashion. Given all of the scenarios coming into this one, we do feel like the Fordham Rams getting the 14.5 points is going to be the better value bet against the spread in this matchup. Moving on down to the Big Ten, we have a matchup here between the Maryland Terps and Northwestern. Maryland's been one of the top road teams in the Big Ten this year. Maryland's just been excellent on the road, winning at places like Michigan, Minnesota, Iowa, Ohio State, Illinois. So Maryland picking up those 5 true road wins in conference, which has really allowed this group to propel their campaign and put them in a spot where they could still potentially push for that Big Ten regular season title. Going on the road today against a Northwestern squad that took some tough results with Scotty Lindsey out. First, Northwestern was blown out on the road at Purdue, and then Northwestern came back home where they were favored quite significantly against Illinois, but Northwestern was upset in that one and was just unable to get their offense going against even an Illinois squad that doesn't have the greatest defense by any means. But in their last outing, very surprisingly, Northwestern was able to really put those poor results behind them as they went on the road to Wisconsin and pulled off the upset win on the road against the Badgers. Still playing without their leading scorer, so Northwestern not quite the same threat. Coming here against a Maryland squad that's been very solid on the road throughout conference play, we do feel like Maryland getting these 2 points is going to be a pretty solid value bet in what figures to be a very competitive matchup. So we're going to be siding with the Maryland Terps in this one on the road against the spread. Moving one game down here to the Big 12, we have a matchup between Iowa State and Kansas State. Both of these teams trying to battle for a spot in the NCAA tournament, and both could definitely continue to utilize some resume building wins. Kansas State fought hard in their last outing on the road against West Virginia, really keeping things competitive over there in a tough road environment, but Kansas State fell apart in the second half of that one as they went on to lose in rather convincing fashion. Coming back to their home court, Kansas State knows that they need to defend their home court, especially in games that they're favored in if they're going to make a push to the NCAA tournament. Kansas State has great head coaching, and Bruce Weber's really gotten this squad to play up to their potential this year in a season that not a lot was expected of Kansas State. The fact that they're still in play for a potential NCAA tournament berth is definitely a nod to the coaching staff to really get this team in the right place. So coming into this one, we do expect Iowa State to keep things competitive competitive, but we do like Kansas State to pull away in the end behind their strong home court advantage as they go on to win and cover this manageable spread. All right, moving on down here to Georgia Tech and Miami. We were hearing a lot out of Georgia Tech, through the first half of ACC play. They were really shocking a lot of people with all of the wins that they were racking up, and we haven't been hearing quite as much from Georgia Tech as of late, as they've picked up a bit more defeats recently, but still a team that's been largely competitive throughout conference play, which is much better than anyone was expecting coming into the year for this group that's now being coached, or now has a new head coach with Josh Pastner, who came over from Memphis. Definitely in contention for the ACC Coach of the Year with what Pastner's been able to do with this Georgia Tech roster. Going on the road here against a Miami squad that actually hasn't been all that dominant at home as of late. Recently getting beaten rather convincingly at home by Florida State. And then some other wins recently where Miami has had a really tough time separating on the scoreboard. For instance, their win against Boston College wasn't impressive at all, as Miami really struggled to get by the Eagles in that one. And just some other results that, Miami, they've arguably, shown some of their better results on the road, especially more recently. But in this one, we feel like Georgia Tech can keep things competitive, and getting these full 10 points, we feel like the Yellow Jackets, in what will probably be a game that's more played in that 60-point range, we feel like these 10 points have quite a bit of value, so we're going to side with Georgia Tech as the better bet against the spread in this one. And just one more game that I want to touch on in today's video, between Duke and Virginia, one of the standout matchups of the night. We have the Duke Blue Devils, who have been picking things up as of late and climbing their way back up the ACC standings. Duke wasn't at a great spot through the first half of ACC play, but as of late, the Blue Devils have been looking a bit more competitive and composed. Going on the road here against a Virginia squad that has a great home court advantage, and in their last outing, Virginia was able to blow out a really talented squad like Louisville. And just this Virginia team, tremendous depth, great defense. They rank first in the nation in total defense again this year, and we feel like this Virginia defense can really frustrate the Duke offensive attack. Duke relies a lot on jump shooting, and we don't necessarily feel like they'll be able to get the kind of open shots that they typically get here against this Virginia defense. We feel like Virginia, behind their home crowd advantage, can get the job done and pull away here in the end as they go on to win and cover this manageable spread here against the Blue Devils. So those are the 5 games that I wanted to touch on in today's video. Again, if you want more of this content in the future, you can click that subscribe button. And if you want to get our daily free pick over at our main website, you can head on over to stumpthespread.com by clicking in the video description link, as well as the link in the top right hand corner of this video. So thanks guys for stopping on in, and we'll see you in the next college basketball pick video. Bye.